Get out while you can, and keep searching for another job. They were going to screw you over while there, and because they were so ready to fire you, don't value you at all, they are most certainly setting you up to fail, and in this case, will get a bit more work out of you before they toss you. Seen this tactic before, especially with contract to hire or some such nonsense. This 100. The only reason they took up back was because nobody else would do that route. I hate to be a negative Nancy, but any job will fire you so quick your head will turn. My mom worked at a place for 12 years and she made one really tiny mistake. She is a waitress, ate a bite of dessert that a guest did not even touch, but it was paid for, and she was fired because it was technically stealing. Trust me, any company will fire you for any reason they want. Capitalism doesn't care about people. I would also like to note she was a perfect worker. Never late, people loved her. Helped people pick up shifts. She even saved 2 customers' lives by doing the Heimlich. This is not an employer anyone should stay with. Another way to look at it, if it is indeed crappy middle management, not doing their job, communicating poorly, then the upper management likely is well aware, which means there is potentially a lot of easy upward mobility to steal their jobs. Then again, up has to want to do that. Big if. What this person said, start looking for comparable positions elsewhere. Ups, for instance, or associated contractors. I've heard, although I haven't verified it myself, that part of the reason contractors are so attractive to FedEx is because they were mostly non-unionized, meaning companies can pull these little stunts with little to no recourse. You were back in, which is great because you will continue to get a steady paycheck for the time being. However, I agree with others on this post that the company and your superiors could be setting you up to fail. It is time to make a transition. As a former low-level manager in a shitty organization, I would advise you to never assume maliciousness when stupidity is the most likely cause. In a smaller organization, the assistant managers were probably long-term employees that got promoted above their level of ability. It also sounds like the boss is overly involved in decisions that he delegated away. I would also like to point out that you were frustrated with the Army veteran's work ethic before you found out he was a veteran. Are you sure you were outraged over the company firing a veteran? Or are you just angry at management and looking for an excuse to disagree with their decision? I'm not saying you should stay. Definitely look for another job, but maybe keep this one in the short term. This makes a lot of sense. Also, if the owner is overly involved with decisions, it's probably because he can't trust his assistant managers to get it right. In a smaller organization, the assistant managers were probably long-term employees that got promoted above their level of ability. Not just smaller, but any org with high turnover. Next time you go into a Walmart and see a manager in over their head, try to remember that Walmart is still a Fortune 1 company. Yes, the Peter principle in action. Ever assume maliciousness when stupidity is the most likely cause of this is so true. It is mind-boggling how incompetent a lot of people are at their jobs. Even highly educated people are often surprisingly stupid. Those FedEx ground drivers get absolutely fucked. Doesn't surprise me that you were making more than people who have been there for 6 years. They probably don't give raises. I have no basis for this, but I feel like that was in an attempt to just get him to shut up. A lot of people still think you can be rightfully fired for talking about wages, so they bet on people not bringing it up. Look, I'm not going to say anything new, but with a kid on the way, the old adage is true, at least in my experience. Easier to find a job when you have one, especially if you start interviewing and they start asking why you left your previous job at SAP. Exactly. I don't think he should quit with a baby on the way. Bear with it while actively looking. It may take longer to find a new job, and being jobless with a kid on the way is stress-inducing. I would have handled it differently. I would have done the math on the hourly pay based on the flat daily rate you get. Was it fair, or are you overpaid on your light days? Not many people get to call it a day after 6 hours. Oh, exactly. I'm not saying I agree with how his managers handled this, but this just sounds like someone complaining because they were asked to do something they don't want to do. I'm all for standing up for yourself, but I can hardly imagine complaining to my manager just because my job responsibilities shifted a little bit from what I'm used to, but are still clearly part of my job description, especially after only being there for 1 month. I agree with the other commenters. Best to keep this job and start looking for another one. Sad to say that you are correct in what they are doing. They are indeed jerking you around. And your assessment is correct about the workload and experience. Lamb not a driver, but over a period of months I've been in communication and monitoring off-delivery routes, along with various issues, such as vicious dogs, locked gates, auto accidents, weather, road hazards and breakdowns, mislabeled, missorted, misload, and yes, misdirection by people at your own company. These issues can change every day and indeed every hour, so that a route that's a breeze one day can be hell the next. What's also true is that all routes are not equal. As you noticed, delivering in the suburbs means easy traffic, easy access to doors, and generally friendly people, not dogs. Delivering to apartment complexes or condos means tons of packages and random problems with gates, storage lockers, and storage in community. Delivering to businesses means heavy traffic, no parking zones, criminal types, store hours that vary, much more stressful than the suburbs. In all cases, your company may require you to assist other drivers on a voluntary or mandatory basis, meaning you could be helping 2 or 3 other drivers when you've finished your route. Some company pay extra, others don't. I'd say your experience shows what kind of company you are with. One that likes to change the rules and all and blame drivers for anything that causes a delay. Another company working in the same areas could be much more organized. It can tell you what the best course of action is. I'm just saying you are not mistaken in seeing a situation that doesn't make sense and that people are giving you a load of base. Well, they used a management trick on you, which is take away the job if the person demands for more. If you went back, you will demonstrate neediness, and thus you will end up in this route without any chance for pay. What you can do alternately are one of the two. Quit if you can. Wouldn't help you in long run, as you would always learn to take easy way out. Quit it wouldn't or you can go for work and set your priorities clear with them. 1. You are willing to learn and take responsibility. Show you are open. 2. If this route is yours, then they need to load truck only when they confirm business is open. 3. Tell them this will be to a permanent route and you will need assistance, someone who is junior to you to help load and navigate. 4. After 30 days, if their so-called training in how to do best is not helping you improve your work life, then you will be paid extra. Now, the second option will mean you get to do the job in your terms and you will actually figure out what went wrong and if it can be improved. Also, it will tell them you are not going to take shit as and when they feel like. This is counter-management trick to help people not leave their job, at the same time learn to deal with managers. It's a really short-term tactic. Every time management has tried a tactic like this, I eat it in the short term and get right back on the market. This has always resulted in a pay bump for me, an absolute shock on the part of former mint. It's almost comical and always a sign of poor management used to rolling over beaten down folks. Sucks having to go back. Searching while you are still there will make it easier. Honestly, while it does seem like the company has some issues of their own, I think you could have handled this better. You've been driving for a month, so you are a newbie no matter which way you slice it. The route may be tougher than the others, but that's the prerogative of the company to assign to you. Seriously, after a month working there, after the first day on your new route, you are complaining about how it is unfair and too hard. I wouldn't have fired you, but I definitely would have had a talk with you about job goals. This sub is always way too sympathetic. It is like everyone thinks they should have a job where they just twiddle their thumbs for 8 hours and then head home. Right from the start, he was aware that his routes could change. When I first started a new job, I didn't have a lot of work to do and it was easy because I was new. And then I started having to do different and more difficult things. That's kind of how it works. I'm sure we'll never hear a follow-up, but if these asked managers actually show him the route can be done in a reasonable time, then what? Will he admit he was wrong and should have given it more of a chance? It is not a bad thing to speak up, but the way it comes across is entitled. Well said. 100 spot on. Op has been there 5 minutes and comes across very demanding and needy in his post. Up's his union. Now you've got some experience. If it's weird and or you still don't like it, stick with it until you have another gig lined up and give proper notice. You did a great job standing up for yourself and holding your ground. You'll be fine there or somewhere else. Good luck. You were the new guy. It is common practice that the new guy gets shit. Your managers lied. You barely got training. The other guy success, but that's the reality of these fucked up companies. If what you do and what you were supposed to do isn't on a contract or specifically in your job description, then they can ask you to do whatever. From what you said, they didn't ask you to do anything out of your realm. Wherever you go, there will be a problem if this gets under your skin, especially so early on into your job. There's always going to be lying management, improper training, shitty schedules, and bad coworkers. If it is not one, it is the other. My advice as a parent is to suck it up for now. Settle in with the baby, congrats, and if you are truly not happy in a few months, then look for another job. Go back. Your forgiveness will work in your favor. You need the job, and they'll owe you one. Oh, I'm going back, but I already consider this bridge burnt. You are doing the right thing by your family, of course. You likely know this, but for others who may be reading, when you find something new, don't bother giving a notice. It is doubtful that your bosses would give you a good reference anyway. No, always leave the right way. You never know who will be willing and who won't. And if you leave without notice, you will be the one burning a bridge. Besides, some places specifically asked to speak to your previous employer. I believe you're overthinking this, especially since it is all stressful. In a few weeks, it won't be awkward anymore from what it seems like. Just keep grinding, man. Hey man, I work for FedEx, but I'm going to tell you that's just how it is. Sometimes routes get heavy business deliveries, and sometimes new couriers or people who haven't done the route before get thrown to it by their managers. It's shitty and it's not the best way to go about it, but the managers do this for their convenience. During this peak holiday season that just passed, a lot of locations did not have enough couriers and were hiring like crazy, but our competitors like Amazon would get more applicants. So in this scenario, they give it to anyone or someone they can give it to. Managers honestly don't care about their employees. But trust me, I work with the managers and I see the way they talk about their employees, man, it's just savage. They will try to force as much work down your throat as they can because they were forced to do the same once. So it's kind of like a repeated torture cycle where the managers know the couriers always will complain about having too many stops, but in reality they can have more stops, they just don't want to work. Hey, good for you for going back and sucking it up. Keep looking for a new job and use this as a learning experience. Knowing you have a kid on the way is making you more responsible. You let yourself calm down and you asked them to reconsider. That's progress. A year ago, you'd have probably handled it differently. That doesn't mean you should stay in this crappy job forever, but being able to calm yourself down and suck it up for the greater good is an important skill that will give you more freedom in the long run. You won't be a slave to your emotions anymore. Yes, it sucks. Nobody should have to do a low-paying job that's hard work. It sucks that they pay by the day rather than by the route or something else that's more fair. And yet you were going to go back in and you were going to do your job while continuing to look for something else. That's part of being an adult and an important part of being a father and partner. So congratulate yourself for tolerating the distress and not letting it make your life even harder than it needs to be. We'll appreciate this response. This is exactly the mentality I have tried to put myself in. I've never been a shit taker or a work is life type of person, but damn it, I will do whatever I can for this baby. My father wasn't around, which was probably the best thing that ever happened to my child, because it taught me a lot. They could fire me now and I'd be out scrounging for the next shitty job within minutes. I would love to find a way to support the little guy and not hate my life 50 hours a week, but in due time I suppose continue this thread. Honestly, I'm almost tempted to tell you to quit anyway and put the time into job searching, because when the baby comes you'll definitely not have time between it and work to job search. Good luck, hope things look up. Ops should have just taken the termination and severance, to be honest. If they are quitting anyways, sounds like you wouldn't get a reference from them regardless, and severance pay is a nice last kick to the company, lol. Stay there long enough to find a new job. Chances are you're not the only one that happened to yesterday. You were correct, I'm not. And I do plan on staying until I find something else. but my job search is definitely accelerated. You kinda sound like a whiny bitch. You're a delivery driver and they asked you to drive a delivery route. You know, if you applied to a job you'd never done before and got hired, you don't just magically inherit the knowledge and experience of every person who has done that job before you. You were forgetting he is a new driver, and also a person. And the manager was not forefront about the change of route. They made it seem temporary, but in reality they wanted him to have it permanently. If they had told him up front it was his new route, and then given him proper training and he still complained, then I would call him a whiny bitch. But that didn't happen. You obviously don't know what you were talking about. They took a guy with no experience, didn't train him well, expected a poor employee to train him properly, gave him the most dangerous and risky route, lied to him about their intentions of giving him the route, and lied about if that's cool with you, great, not me. A difficult new route that uses different techniques without proper training. Sure, lem just get fucked in the ass. Yeah.
Like and subscribe for more Reddit content. Watch the next video at the top of your screen.